Welcome to Collide's annual Gala for Good. We're so grateful that you're joining us from the comfort of your own home to rally around this mission to continue to impact women's lives. We know that you're choosing to spend an evening where you could be doing a million other things, and so we are so very grateful. It means the world to our staff, our board, our volunteer teams, but most of all, it means the world to the women that we minister to. I assume that you are joining us because this ministry has blessed your life or someone's life that you love. So I want to thank you for your presence, for your belief, for your support, and your partnership with us. This has been an incredibly difficult year for Collide, as it has been for so many organizations, businesses, ministries, and families. We as a people have become acquainted with grief, anxiety, fear, and division. We've experienced tremendous loss. We have lost our sense of normalcy. We have lost meeting with a friend for a simple cup of coffee. We've lost gathering together, graduations, weddings, worship services, holiday parties, and singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in unison. For many, we have lost on-campus school and the powerful influence of in-person teaching, tutoring, coaching, and counselors. We've also lost the ability to say goodbye to our loved ones passing on in care facilities, and we've lost the closure that comes with funerals and wakes. We've lost this season that we cannot get back. A senior's year in high school, a freshman's year at college, a couple's wedding plans, a baby's birth and welcome into a world where there are no visitors allowed. And we have even lost going to the gym, and never have I wanted to go to the gym more than when I can't. We have lost hugs, high fives, handshakes, and even smiles. We have lost our economic security, our sense of safety, and for many, we have lost much of what we've worked so hard to build leading up to this point in history. And many of us have lost people. We have lost moms or dads, brothers or sisters, neighbors or friends. The emotional, financial, and relational toll this loss is taking on us is huge. And I would be remiss tonight to not pause and recognize where we are at as a people, even in the midst of a fundraiser. But what I know to be true about this community of people who join us on this live stream tonight is this: though our circumstances are making us weary, we still want to be people of hope. And though the world around us feels as though it's grown dark, we still want to be people who shine the light. And though we are hard-pressed on every side, we still want to be people who refuse to be crushed so we can stand strong for others. And though this chapter has been trying, we still want to be people who believe upon God that a better story is coming. If there is one thing that we are convinced about around here at Collide, it's this: God meets people where they're at. We've seen it again and again, and we stand firm in these trying times, unshaken because of this one hope. There's no circumstance, no story, no mistake, no chapter, no history, no regret, no lot in life that will ever keep our God from coming for us. There's no dark alley, no background, no closet with any skeleton, no grief, no fear, no religious affiliation checkbox, and no contagion that God's love refuses to touch. And being people full of hope means that though we wait, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, though we've been shut down and shut down again, and though we suffer, we trust. Even when everything tries to steal that trust, we trust even still that life and blessing, goodness and redemption, newness and a better chapter is on its way. No matter how dark, how lonely, how desperate, how sick, how faithless, how messy, how broken, we believe God will collide with us, and he will bring hope to our hopelessness. He will bring help to our need for rescue, and he will bring healing to our brokenness. And not only will God meet us where we're at, but he will use us here too. This has been the Collide story, after all. It was in my mess, walking into a counseling office years ago, that God started Collide. God didn't start Collide out of strength, put-togetherness, or resources. He didn't start Collide with a pretty logo and a team of women warriors. He didn't even start Collide with a person desiring to start something. No, God wrote page 1 of Collide's story when no one was even looking for a story to be written. I was hurting. And as God began bringing healing to my broken places, he called me at the very same time to invite others to come with me to find healing. And this ministry is a story of how God used one hurting, broken woman who invited a few friends, who invited a few friends, who invited you. All these invitations grew into a ministry of broken, hurting people, helping broken, hurting people, which grew into a movement of thousands of women who are daring to believe that God meets us in our pain and uses it to meet others in theirs. And years ago, after I walked out of that counseling office, a college-age girl asked me if I would mentor her. I said yes, and that yes found me opening my door not to just her, but 20 young women. And they piled into my living room, and we spent several years watching Jesus collide with people in the New Testament. And as Jesus collided with them, he collided with us. We ran into this beautiful Christ in all our pain, and I was leading these girls out of mine. When Jesus restored the shriveled man's hand, he too restored some of the girls' shriveled self-esteems. When Jesus went out of his way to collide with the woman at the well who was going from man to man to man because she was so thirsty, Jesus too met these girls and gave them something to drink that quenched their parched living. When Jesus healed the woman hemorrhaging and the lepers that no one else would touch, and the man in the tombs who was harming himself, Jesus also began to heal a girl in our group who'd been sexually abused. And that Bible study of college students unexpectedly grew into life-changing conferences, classes, retreats, a blog, and a podcast for thousands. And because Jesus meets people where they're at, we were convinced that we needed to as well. And that growing conviction led us to start walking boldly into women's lives and inviting them to say yes, to walk towards healing. And everyday chicks were not only open for it, they were hungry for the transformation in the places their lives were crying out for it. And so we met that need with a wholeness and counseling program. And we've built a trusted network of licensed mental health therapists, and we have a financial scholarship program to ensure that there are zero obstacles in the way of a woman getting the help she desires. And we've had hundreds of women reach out to Collide for help, as well as businesses, churches, youth groups, and other ministries and organizations who are seeking to help their people. We've had a mentoring program connecting older women with younger women in life-changing relationships. And we have a leadership development program tapping into women's desire to change their world. And we have seen tremendous life come out of encouraging, equipping, and giving women the opportunity to lead. Because when they do, they witness the absolutely stunning picture of what can happen when a woman says yes to purposing her life for that of another. And we have a content and curriculum arm of what we do, writing, designing, and publishing Bible studies, which have now begun traveling beyond the Pacific Northwest to places like New York City and Altoona, Iowa, to Milford, Michigan, and Carlsbad, California, and yes, even to Kokomo, Indiana. And we have a big vision to see our reach expand. We have in-house Bible study groups and online small groups where we're inspiring and equipping women leaders to facilitate life-altering discussions. And we've created resource after resource to help women get unstuck in the places they feel stuck. Who knew God would write such a story out of pain? And I cannot imagine the stories he's going to write out of the places we find ourselves in here right now in a pandemic in 2020. And many of you have heard me share this story because I share it often because it was an indelible moment for me, where I realized how powerful this Collide thing was, this work of meeting women where they're at. I was picking up garbage in between the pews after we put on a conference for women, and a woman in her 60s scurried through a pew to catch me on the other side. And I introduced myself, "Hi, I'm Willow." And she said nothing. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if she was mute or socially awkward. And so I prayed, "Oh, Lord, help me out with this one." And it became clear that she couldn't talk because she was so deeply emotional, and her emotion was almost coming from down here. And by the time it rose up, she said, "Something struck me today." And she began to share her story, and her story told of a woman who used to be highly involved in the church with her husband and her kids. And her husband passed away. And later she experienced the loss of her adult son due to suicide. And she said the church couldn't handle the topic of suicide. They either didn't want to talk about it, they treated you like a charity case, or they told her that her son was in hell. So she stopped going to church. And then years after that, another one of her adult children tried to attempt suicide. And without emotion, she said to me, "I told myself it was fine. I planned a funeral for my husband. I planned a funeral for my son. I'll plan a funeral for my daughter." And then she said, "I didn't allow myself to feel, and today I feel." Why? Because she walked into Collide and we promised her, we said, "God can handle your pain, and not only can he handle your pain, but he can heal your pain." And at the end of that conversation, she looked at me with hope in her eyes and her voice, and she said, "Today marks the beginning of me coming back in to the church doors." We met that woman where she was at, and for years now, we have been meeting woman after woman where they find themselves. We have met women who have fallen off the wagon at Collide. They have found the grace for themselves to get back on. We have prayed over women with chronic pain and given hope to women facing the fear of death from cancer. We have listened to women speak about their own experience with racism and have made and continue to make Collide a safe place where they can share their story. We've counseled women who self-harm, self-sabotage, and self-hate. I sat with a woman in our office who had just gotten out of the hospital because she tried to hang herself. In her words, she said she was unsuccessful even at attempting suicide. I will never forget fighting for that woman in that room. And this ministry has since become a place where she can process her pain, her drug abuse, the toxic relationships and damaging lies that condemning religious people have spoke into her, convincing her that she's not worthy enough for God. And she has been loved on, prayed for, and encouraged. She has attended our events, and she has started serving at those. She has received from people, and now she's beginning to give back. In fact, she donated one of her skills to our auction that just closed this year in the hopes that what she has to offer the world will somehow bless others. She's now on a Collide Bible study, growing in God and beginning to look to Him to heal her past and make way for a beautiful future. We have battled for her, and today she chooses life, recovery, and even baptism. Her newfound smile is all I need to continue fighting for more women who come to us like her. And we've been given at Collide this great privilege of journeying with women, holding on to Jesus by a thread, and women who walked away from church and faith because they've been wounded by hurtful people. And we've taught life-changing messages to women who are Baptist, Catholic, Pentecostal, Lutheran, Presbyterian, atheist, and Buddhist, age 15, 22, 35, 56, and 84. We've come alongside women who've lost everything and women who are celebrating now being able to find it in Jesus. We met a woman where she was at, knee-steeped in her own loneliness and alcohol that she used to self-medicate it. And after she attended a conference, she about signed up for everything we had going. She signed up for classes and our mentoring program and our Bible study groups, and then she bravely entered our counseling program. She's been radically transformed, and now she volunteers to serve other hurting women in the hopes that their lives might be changed like hers has. We've met with teenagers keeping secrets for their parents and from their parents. We've helped parents find help for their kids, and we've helped kids by getting help for their parents. We've sat with women who are single, dating and hating it in their 60s, and women who are married and miserable in their 20s. We have been a place women reach out to for help as this pandemic has increased anxiety, depression, suicide, and divorce. A woman asked for our help recently as her marriage was imploding. COVID seems to be the great catalyst bringing up all that lays dormant in our lives and our families. And she walked in done, given up, angry, calloused. And we were a place she could process and soften, be mad and met with love, be honest and hold out hope at the very same time. We have walked her and so many others like her in these trying times toward health, restoration, and renewal. Over the years, we've ministered to countless women who've experienced the devastation of miscarriage, unexpected hysterectomies, adoption hopes disappointed, and the betrayal of their spouses. We have been a place that those steeped in hardship can reach out to for light when it's hard to even draw the curtains. We have wept with women who are heartbroken and helped women whose dreams were crushed to begin to dream again. We continue to meet women where they're at, and let me tell you where women might be at today and in the coming months. The Washington State Health Department anticipates that rates of depression are likely to be much higher. Potentially 30 to 60% of the general population might be depressed due to the chronic and ongoing social and economic disruption in people's lives as a result of the pandemic. That's nearly half the population. And in regards to women, that's half our mothers, half our teen girls, half our business owners, our youth workers, our teachers, our nurses, and maybe even half of the people that live in your house. Knowing this as a staff, we started pulling up our big girl pants and working so hard around here, and we have gathered our trusted network of counselors, pastors, life coaches, and leaders. And we have created a manage your anxiety kit. We've recorded podcasts to engage worry, fear, and loss. We've written blogs to point toward hope, joy, and healthy grief during this time. We've recorded a small library of hopeful video messages out on YouTube, written Bible study books and devotions, and crafted an intentional parenting guide to ground families in faith rather than fear during this time. We've launched pod squads calling women leaders to invest in the women in their own community. And these leaders are already loving on, caring for, and blessing their neighbors, their friends, and their family members. And we are so very excited because we're about to launch our new Collide School with our first bundle of courses taught by 11 licensed therapists tackling tough subjects that come up for women in counseling in the hopes to bring them more healing. We have pivoted in huge ways, creating so many new paths to reach women. And we as a staff are audaciously believing that if we can make it to the other side of this pandemic, we might even have a greater reach and a greater impact because of all this new work we've crafted. And I am so very proud of our staff women. A group of strong, brave, loving, gifted women who continue to pour out and sacrifice. And we are committed to lead through this hardship. We have a fierce determination to continue meeting women where they're at. But tonight we need you to meet us where we're at. Collide has lost a third of our funding and income this year due to the effects of COVID. This loss has taxed us incredibly and has the great capacity to threaten our ability to sustain the pandemic. We have always had an amazing support of people who have seen firsthand the story that God is writing with Collide. And all the impact we have had thus far has been made possible because God worked through your generosity to make it possible. And now we need your help more than ever. We need new monthly donors tonight, people who just show up for us and say, we will hold you guys up. And we need people tonight, even in your pajamas, on your couch, to consider giving to this mission a one-time gift so we can continue to impact lives. Tonight, we've been blessed with a matching donation from Barlene's for up to $15,000 in gifts. So you can double your giving tonight. All one-time donations will be matched, as well as the first 3 months of new ongoing monthly donors, up to $15,000. So that means your 100 becomes 200, your 2,000 becomes 4,000. You can do the math. If you'd like to make a one-time donation tonight or become a monthly donor, all you have to do is text Collide to the number shown on the screen below. Or if you've been bidding on the auction, you can go make a one-time donation through that platform by looking for the Donate tab to make a donation. I don't know about you, but I'm still the girl who needs healing, hope, and help. And maybe you do too. And if there's one thing that God has taught me through the Collide story that is also true for us in this pandemic, it's this. Our loss, our pain, our struggles, those aren't obstacles in the way of us impacting lives. No, those are actually what God uses to do it. In fact, it's often when we give hope away that we find it. So we want to invite you to take a few minutes to consider how you might give and have a chance to respond during this beautiful song that Ivelice is about to sing over us. This song, O Holy Night, was written by a poet for a priest in the 1800s. And there's a line in the song that says, "Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth." There's something incredible that happens when a soul feels its own worth. And as I come to a close, I have to remind you right now that if for some reason this extremely difficult season has made you for any reason feel less loved, more alone, less whole, more broken, less alive, more dimmed, less seen, more isolated, less worthy, more worthless, I want to stop for a moment and remind you that you are worthy. You are worthy of relationship. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of healing, help, and grace. You are worthy of wholeness and dreams and life. Your God, the one who made you, he chased down humanity to show you just how worthy you are. His life for your life. So this Christmas, friends, more than anything, may your soul know its worth. And may you make every soul you collide with know theirs. Merry Christmas.
The stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh, night divine. Truly he taught us to love one another. His love is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raising, let all within us praise his holy name. hear the angel voices all night, divine, all night. When Christ was